And we're talking about F1, not the racing, not the real racing, F1, the movie. Now, I'll say it off the bat. The movie is technically incredible. The racing scenes are amazing. The sound design is insane. And it really does feel like you're sort of inside the car in a lot of scenes. For me, a movie that's that impressive on a technical level is all well and good, but the movie didn't really have much to say. And that's kind of where it kind of lost me. So this is a F1 the movie, directed by Joseph Kosinski. This is the follow-up, not just the follow-up, I would say it's really the spiritual successor to Top Gun Maverick. This has a lot of the same elements in it as Top Gun Maverick. He clearly shot the film in a lot of the same ways. It stars Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes. We got Damson Idris as the young buck with a bone to pick.
Thundercat.
Yeah, the young Thundercat with a chip on his shoulder. Joshua Pierce. Javier Bardem as the organization owner, Ruben Cervantes. Kerry Condon as Kate McKenna. This is like this is a pretty standard like sports story, I guess. Like, you know, the old timer, like retired, like legend comes back to like do a thing and butts heads with like the new young up and coming Thundercat. And they
finally come together.
Then they finally come together for the good of the team. Like, it's just like, it's your pretty classic standard story. Dusty, I want to start with you because you've watched this like 15 times at this point. So
yeah, he's a fan. Hey.
Why don't we start with you? What are your thoughts on this?
I guess you would call it a cookie cutter racing movie, and the Stallone style. The Driven is what the movie's called.
Driven, that's right.
With Stallone.
Good.
Where he is the seasoned old guy who won and retired and came in, what you were talking about, which is very much what that movie is. That's not necessarily what this movie is, and that's kind of why I enjoyed it. In that Brad Pitt plays the never what. He was a kid who was very talented, but he ended his career very early on because of an accident, and he never raced F1 again. And he went on to do other things, and he developed this philosophy in life that you kind of see throughout the movie of, you know, why it's not about the money. Well, what's it about? You see this theme in the movie that kind of plays out till the end of it. It's a good racing movie. If you like driving, which I do, you like driving games, Gran Turismo fan, or, you know, any sort of racing fan, you will love this movie. If you're not so much a fan, maybe you'll enjoy the story. I can't say, but the cinematography, the sound effects, the driving, I love this movie. It's great. A pretty decent story, kind of unique, like I said, and that he was a never was and not the old retired. I know everything because I've won everything. He was the I fell off the cliff and I don't want you to as well. So I thought that was a good part of the story, and I found it interesting. So that's why I liked it.
To not know or care about F1, it was definitely a cool watch for me. The cinematography of the races definitely carried the movie, I think. Some of those crashes were gnarly, for sure. The most interesting thing probably was getting to like peer into the life of like an F1 racer. I thought that was pretty cool.
Did we though?
Looks pretty intense. Well, I'm just thinking like about like the pit crew and just like the actual job of the F1 racer, not like their actual personal life. Nothing like
you have to highlight different aspects of the sport. Sure.
Yeah,
it's fair. Like studying like aerodynamics and all that shit.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, like the tech and stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
Adding on the parts and like the FIA or whatever it was called, doing the research into the parts.
Yeah.
There was some drama in there. It was good. I thought it was pretty interesting. Yeah.
I struggled with this one because I don't care about racing at all. At all. There's nothing about it that I find interesting.
New Yorkers.
No, I get like
they don't drive.
They don't even
care about it. Exactly. They don't fucking have cars.
The
buses and trains and shit.
Public transportation. I live in the burbs, bro. What are you talking about? I don't know. As a sport, like I don't find it really very interesting. Like I do find it interesting, and I understand it's actually very physically demanding, like racing, especially at that speed. Like you're dehydrated. Like it takes a lot of physical fitness, mental focus and acuity. Like I get that. It's like a peak, like human sport. Like I get that.
Sure.
But I just don't find it very interesting. And so making a movie about it, I'm just like, well, what about this movie do I care about, really? for me, like you go into it wanting like, all right, well, maybe we'll get like a good like character drama here. If I'm being honest, I don't really like sports movies. I find them kind of boring and disinteresting, mostly because I don't really like sports. Like I like hockey, but other
Space
sports,
Jam.
Space Jam's okay.
Got 'em.
Mighty
Got 'em.
Ducks is cool. Like,
Ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, we got him.
there's been a handful, so that is already working against it. And then
Sure.
plus it's like the idea of racing, which I also don't really like. I even care less
Yeah.
about. Yeah, so I don't know. I think everything about this movie, besides like the actual filmmaking of it, was pretty boring. I don't think the plot the plot like didn't really give anything to like. I had nothing. I thought it was too long. 2.5 hours is like way too long for.
It was long.
And you know me,
It
I
was
don't.
long.
I never complain about.
And you
time.
know it's long if Dan is
Yeah.
complaining about the length.
The dialogue in this is like quite cheesy, especially in the beginning. It's just like standard cliche stuff. It's like, that's Sonny Hayes. Like as he's racing, like this just cuts to some guy.
Look at him go.
Yeah. What is this guy doing? He's like, he's racing.
I feel like the racing scenes were definitely the strength.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But I do like that they didn't like show too much of the races. Like we just got kind of some of the peak stuff, like with the crashes and stuff. They kept it very interesting.
But they kind of race you through the races where like you if you watch a race from beginning to end, you're sitting down for 3 or 4 hours of your time in a day.
Yeah.
And so the audio from like the race callers when they're calling stuff, that's kind of stuff that would be spread out over the course of the race where
they're
they kind of jam it in. They jam it into 5 minutes. They're like, oh yeah,
to make it more.
His fairing fell off again. He did it again. He's the yellow flag again. The yellow flag again.
Yeah.
Get ready for Plan C, where that's not something that's such of a big story. It's like, oh, it happened to him again. It happened to him 40 minutes ago. It happened to him an hour ago.
No, I like that
feels...
stuff. It gives the movie a kinetic feel, and it's putting you in the actual event without showing you the whole event, because you can't obviously show a whole fucking race in a 2-hour movie. But it gives you like the main.
It summarized it well, but it did feel a little mushed sometimes, of like the repetitive, I guess.
Well, yeah, because how many things happen in a fucking race?
Right. And you can only do so much. But it was creative how they did it, like the racing, using the caution flag to get ahead. There was some clever ideas if you're a racing fan of what they did.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff. I'm sure this movie slaps if you're a racing fan. But there's also a lot of stuff in there that I thought was a little bit too, like, there's only so much drama that you could conjure in a movie like this. It's like okay, so the young guy and the old guy are butting heads. Okay. Well, now they're one's competing for like fame and glory, the other's just like trying to like prove that he isn't a fuck up or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, now they're competing against each other. What? They're teammates. Like one's crashing the other one, and they're sacrificing the success of the org. And it's like, there's just only so much that you could do.
Those are predictable storylines, but I think the development of them, you're like, yeah, that's going to happen. But it's not necessarily uninteresting how it happens, I guess is what I would say.
Right. So that brings me to the question of who's this movie for, right?
Sure.
Is it for racing fans? Almost certainly.
Yes.
Is it for movie lovers? I'm not so sure.
Best Picture, no.
That's where I'm really surprised at that, to be honest.
That's sketchy as hell.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that it's got a Best Picture nomination. I don't see it outside of again, technical aspects. You want to give it like best cinematography, best whatever.
Deserves that.
Totally. Best sound design, 100%. Best picture. We saw a lot of bangers this year. You're gonna put like doesn't
even have the depth.
Does The Long Walk not make Best Picture instead of this? Like I find that very surprising. I think this movie just lacked storytelling as a whole. Like I don't think it was weak in story. I don't think there was really storytelling. I think they just slapped this like very generic plot into a technically cool looking and sounding racing movie and called it a day. That's really kind of where I stand on it.
Not to be too punny, but I think the story of this movie is drive, and it's the drive of
that's fair. No, totally fair.
It's the drive of Brad Pitt's character, in that I lost everything, I had to start over, and you see this lesson of he starts over all the time, and that like life is life. I'm here to just live it. I'm gonna experience.
Well, he's in
it.
a perpetual state of starting over.
But that's his drive because he's already lost everything.
Yeah,
so he's
well,
gone to the top. He's fell off the
get it.
cliff.
Yeah.
He's not trying to chase that anymore. He's just trying to enjoy the drive, and that is what drives him.
Mhm.
And so, being a movie about driving, I think it's a fascinating take.
I think that's fair. But like I said, this was nominated for 4 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Film Editing, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects. 3 out of that 4, fine. Best Picture,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can give you probably doesn't deserve best picture, maybe, but I think at least Brad Pitt should probably get a best actor nod because while I knew it was Brad Pitt, I felt like he was more Sonny Hayes than he was Brad Pitt.
I found these characters to be incredibly annoying. I didn't really care for Brad Pitt's like cool guy like character, like
Living in a van.
yeah, just like in the interview, at the press briefing, he's like, "So you got divorced?" Yep. "So you used to race but don't anymore?" Yep. It's like, all right, man.
Doesn't give it another 10 or 20 years and you'll feel that stiff a little bit more. So I'm going to say age because
I'm not.
I can feel that
criticizing it
shit,
as
man.
I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying it's like not interesting because we've seen it a billion times.
There's a box. You're boxed in.
I don't think. I mean, well, I don't know. I don't know if you have to be, but like every sports movie is the veteran and the newbie. The veteran's trying to teach a lesson or whatever, and it's just like, all right. When you are in a box in a movie like that, then how do you break out of the box? Well, you do it by technical prowess and innovation, and this movie certainly had a lot of that. It had this like hyper realism experience to it that I thought was really awesome, and quite frankly, I think it does set a new standard for what cinematography can look like in those terms. It used actually innovative camera technology. The production team developed specialized small format camera systems, including custom built rigs mounted directly onto cars, allowing for high quality in cockpit and wheel to wheel shots.
The tech use was amazing. Yeah.
Rather than relying on like green screens and stuff, the crew filmed at 10 to 12 actual Formula One races. It integrated their fictional APX GP team into the real race weekend, including, for example, the pit lane, giving the film an authentic lived-in feel. So that's why, in terms of racing, it feels very realistic because it was basically they actually filmed in actual races like they were an actual team. I feel like this is a movie that like would be better in a theater experience, especially
made
in like
for the
an
big
IMAX
screen.
theater.
Yes.
Yes. You know, it's a well-made movie. That's not my gripe. My gripe is just there's nothing more to it than that. So when I don't care about that stuff per se, it's only so cool for so long, and I want something to really chew into, like a story or like character stuff, and I don't know if that movie really delivered on it.
As a racing fan, and as far as racing movie goes, this is one of the better ones we've seen in a while.
Yeah,
I would say.
That's what I said. Like, who's the movie for? Is it for racing fans? If that's the case, then sure, it did its job. But if you want it to be a fully fleshed out thing for everyone, I don't think it's that. Definitely not a bad movie, but by no stretch. Is it Best Picture of the Year worthy? I don't think so.
No,
at all.
It's not.
Even if you're a racing fan, it's just not. Compared to some of the other stuff we've watched, no.
It's not the best picture.
But it does have a 7.5, so that it's a good score. What I say, I could give it a little bit of a drop to a 7. The technical aspects of the movie were amazing, but there just wasn't enough there to really hook me in.
I'll keep it right there, 7.5.
Okay.
Needed more character development, more storytelling.
Yeah.
Everything else was good.
I think the 7.5 is where I would say. I think that's a strong score for a movie.
Yeah, that's respectable. For sure.
7.5 is watchable,
absolutely
enjoyable,
yeah,
and talk about later. So could it be improved? Absolutely. But it could also be, I've seen far worse racing movies. So go watch it.
There you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on F1. Let us know what you thought down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. If you have not done so, hit the notification bell so you know when new videos go live. And leave a like and do all that cool shit.